Hey everybody, welcome back to a new vlog. This vlog is going to be a longer one because I am going through all 8 Sabbats and we are going to be celebrating them as a family, and it's just going to be a more vlog style video of basically our whole entire year. Future Lauren here, quick update. I recorded a lot and obviously you probably can tell from the title of this video as well as the length that we are only doing 2 Sabbats. I started recording, we had just a lot of good material, so I decided to break this up basically into 2, 2, 2, and 2. Then that way you guys can see it a lot sooner. So 4 total videos for this year. Now this video idea actually came about from me listening to a podcast by Chloe Taylor. And she was walking through all of the 8 Sabbats and kind of teaching about them. You know, a lot of us, we move away from organized religion, at least in this like little community of ours. And we don't usually celebrate some of the things that we used to, especially in Christianity and some of those bigger religions that you might once have been a part of. And kind of the thing that I resonated with was that it's just been such a bummer to not celebrate certain holidays anymore. And it's not like I'm like anti-holiday, like I will still go visit family for an excuse to see family, but at the same time I kind of don't resonate with the messages or just the religion itself, and it's kind of something that I don't exactly want to pass on to my children, or at least if I do, I want to pass on an educated version where I actually teach them the meaning behind it and also some of the meanings behind other religions and other practices. So I loved this idea because I feel like I don't have very many like traditions set in my family. I have a son who is currently 1 year old, 1.5 years old, and I really want to start those traditions now. And basically I thought, hey, why not just go through all the 8 Sabbats and we'll kind of research them and celebrate bits and pieces of them, and then maybe in the future years we'll kind of like take what we enjoy and, you know, leave out what we don't enjoy. Now I will say that I am not a witch. I'm not like a practicing Wiccan in any sense of the word. However, you do not have to be a witch to celebrate these things that they celebrate. And basically the Sabbats is kind of a celebration of the year and the seasons and nature. So there's absolutely things that you can do to kind of like sort of celebrate these holidays, even if you don't necessarily believe in the Wiccan religion. Another thing to point out here too is that not even all Wiccans or witches even celebrate the Sabbats. Really, they were kind of put all together by one guy who put it in a book that was made in the 1950s. So the idea of them is pretty new, but some of these traditions go back way, way, way before there was even the 8 Sabbats as like a whole. And what I find beautiful about the Sabbats is that really it's celebrating nature and following the annual journey of the seasons and kind of how Mother Earth changes throughout the year. And I just was drawn to it for that reason. And in a lot of ways, these Sabbats are kind of reflective of the energy that is going on in your life as well. So not only are you paying attention to the seasons, but you're paying attention to how nature and those seasons affect you and your life. And that can be very symbolic, or it could actually be very literal. But basically the 8 Sabbats are represented by 8 spokes on a wheel. And there are 2 groups of Sabbats, the lesser and the greater Sabbats. So 4 of those are lesser, 4 of those are greater. Now 4 of those are fire festivals. Those are kind of the lesser Sabbats. And then the greater Sabbats are all 4 solar festivals. So they're based on the sun and where the sun is at throughout the whole entire year. Now one thing to keep in mind with the 8 Sabbats is that Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere are going to have 2 completely opposite things going on. So while I am about to approach Imbolc, cold, you know, January, wintry season, those people in the South Hemisphere are actually in summertime and summer weather. So they are actually celebrating a different Sabbat at the same time of the year. But I am in the US, so you're going to see kind of the Northern Hemisphere side of the whole thing. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you can flip-flop it. So I'm going to be teaching you guys a little bit about each as we go, kind of the meaning behind the seasons, some of the rituals you can do, some of just like day-to-day activities that you can do, or just like actual celebrations that you can take a part of. So we are going to start, it's January, technically Yule just happened around Christmas time, but the next Sabbat that's coming up is one of the lesser Sabbats, and that's one of those fire rituals, and that is Imbolc. Can you say good morning? Hold up the book, show the book. Say book.
Book.
Good job. All right, it's Imbolc today, and this is the first Sabbat that we are going to be celebrating. Today is just a normal Tuesday for us. Tuesdays I'm usually at home watching our son while my husband works. So this kind of adds something fun to the day that it would have just been a normal old Tuesday for us, but we're gonna do some fun things around the house. Everything that I'm learning is from these books, and I will show them every time a Sabbat comes around. I thought this would be cute, but it's just impossible. So yes, I will link this book down below as well as all the others, but basically all the information you're going to hear is from these books. Imbolc is coming at such a perfect time because last night was the new moon. So I actually waited, and I'm going to do some new moon rituals tonight instead of last night, because new moons are all about welcoming in new energy, which is absolutely very similar to a lot of the stuff that happens with Imbolc. So Imbolc is traditionally about the first signs of spring. Everything is awakening again. You should sort of start to see plant life. Here, not so much. We are still in the dead of winter, which is why some people don't always celebrate Imbolc, is because the seasons don't quite line up with where they're at. So for example, even though it's a little sunny out right now, it's cold, and we have a big snowstorm coming tonight. So one of the things you can do is go on a walk and look for signs of spring. I don't know if I'm quite seeing any where I'm at, but this is still good for us to get some fresh air. We don't do that very much when it's really cold out. And that was the thing about way back when. I mean, these people were huddled up in their homes. All they had was the little bit of fire that they had to live by. The days were short. It was cold. You know, they didn't have the luxuries that we have today of being able to store food, heat their homes. You kind of have to imagine what it was like living back then, and how this is the halfway point between winter solstice and spring solstice. So it was all about survival and kind of just being able to make it through the harsh winter. Look at how cute you are. So that's why Imbolc is like a fire celebration. You're celebrating that the fire is returning, the light is returning. Again, that's based on your geographics, but a lot of people would celebrate, hey, it's finally time to start making plans for spring. Again, you might not have been actually planting, but you were at least making plans. You might have been prepping the ground and just kind of gearing up for the spring solstice. What? Hopefully you'll get to see this project evolve also. This is our new Airbnb gig that we're setting up, and also our neighbors are building a house, so we'll get to see it over the course of this whole year change. So the Chinese New Year is also happening at this time, and they kind of celebrate it over a course of 2 weeks. And I should say it's kind of been renamed to the Lunar New Year, so it's a little bit more inclusive to other cultures. And the name for the Chinese New Year literally translates to welcoming in spring. So this is basically the same as Imbolc. They are also welcoming in the start of spring. And this is something we've actually celebrated before. And so we usually go to a local AAPI business so that we can support just the local Asian community. So we either usually get food from a restaurant or we go shop at a local business. This year we went to the Lunar New Year festival at a local kind of like market area where they had a lion dance. This was also my son's first time seeing a festival like this, so we were really excited to take him to do this. I just wanted to get something that I could put in my car as a reminder of the things that I wanted to manifest this year. So I found this cool little pendant. The red symbolizes the new year, and the little gourd on it symbolizes fertility and growth and just good health, and that's something that I would like to manifest for this year. So I put it in my car to constantly remind myself. I can't believe it's already snowing! Our springtime didn't last long. So some of the things that you can do for fun, one is to clean. If you can't necessarily go outside and clean up like your yard or your garden, you can absolutely clean up your home. What else can we do? We are also making soda bread, which I've never made before, and it's one of the recipes in this little book. This book has a ton of cool recipes and rituals, so I would definitely check it out because I'm not doing them all, but there are so many. One of the cool ones I found to do was to bless all of your candles ahead of time for the whole entire year, because it's like a fire ritual type Sabbat. So yeah, it is a book. All right, let's see how this turns out. So Imbolc is actually also called Brigid's Day in Ireland, and they celebrate the goddess Brigid. So one of the things you could do is make Brigid's cross. So to make Brigid's cross, you could use pipe cleaner. You're supposed to use rushes, which these are the closest that I found in my garden, and they're kind of like dried grass that's pretty stiff. I bought raffia, but I think it's going to be too flimsy. I think I'm going to try them all and see how it goes. So Brigid is an earth goddess from Ireland. She is the goddess of eternal flame. She's the goddess of transformation and new beginnings. And so many people worshipped her. A lot of people still worship her as like the goddess. But when Christianity came along, they actually turned her into a saint. And now she's kind of going back to her goddess status, which is really cool. Okay, so these are 100% breaking. They are not going to work. So I'm going to either try the pipe cleaners or the raffia. Alright, that didn't work either. Let's try the pipe cleaners. Alright, I mean, it's not the worst. I needed better materials. What do you think, little man? So what you do then is you find kind of the heart of your home. I would say this would normally be our kitchen, but we have very little space in our kitchen. You can also put it above your doorway. That's what I'm going to do. And then if it were technically burnable, what you would do is you would have it in your home for a whole year. And then the night before Imbolc next year, you would burn the old one and then make a new one. Let's look how my soda bread turned out. Very appetizing. And it's like hard as a rock. Ah. Is it even cooked? I don't think it's even cooked in the middle. Well, I did not claim to be a cook. All of these experiments are failing. Hopefully I will get them better next year, or maybe I'll just do something different. So I just wrapped up my live night with you guys. That was a fantastic way to end the evening. I think next year if I do Imbolc, I think what I'd love to do, honestly, is just go watch a Chinese New Year dance and then maybe do like a really like hygge night in where we make dinner and just kind of cozy up. I really did like walking outside earlier with our son. I think that was a breath of fresh air, and then I think I would just do the Brigid's Cross and call it good. Just a fun little activity for the day. Doesn't need to be anything super intense, and it kind of just made the Tuesday a little bit more of a fun Tuesday.
I'm pretty sure that's a cannonball and not bread. That is made out of metal.
Good morning, happy Ostara. I'm very excited to talk about Ostara today, and I really quick wanted to just like throw it out there that we're probably not going to be doing quite as much for Ostara, and we just had a really rough week. My cat, who had diabetes, went into remission earlier this week. Kind of the remission thing just did not happen. So there's a little bit less going on. And because of that, I just wanted to mention it. If you want to know what's going on with that, I have a podcast that I've already released if you want to like just learn more about that, especially if maybe you are going through the same things with your animals. So it's finally spring, and this marks winter being over. A lot of us have cabin fever. We're ready to get out. We're ready to do things. And so because of this is a great time to kind of make way for the new and clean out the old. So a lot of people on spring equinox will do like spring cleaning. That is kind of dependent on like how warm it is. Like I feel like here in Colorado it's just too cold to do any of that. But instead we did a lot of spring cleaning in our yard, and we did a lot of this yesterday. So we cleaned up our yard, just got rid of all of the trash, the old weeds, everything that was dead, so that we could focus on planting. I couldn't really see before because there's so much dead stuff, but now I can see everything that's been already growing underneath. In a more symbolic sense, we also are planting the seeds for the Airbnb that we are trying to get off the ground. So my dad and my husband were out there working all day yesterday to try to get that up and running. So right now our fence goes right there, but instead we're gonna put the fence right here and then have you park right there. Done. What I really loved about the way the book described this season is that it doesn't have to be just on the spring equinox. This can be like a whole thing that you celebrate over the course of the month. You can constantly be going out. You can do a lot of these rituals and things just over the whole course of the spring. So I kind of liked that, and I think I will adopt that viewpoint of Ostara being a monthly thing, especially because some of these things that you're doing might take some time. It might definitely take more than a day. Like cleaning up my yard took a whole day in itself. But other things that you can do that are symbolic to the time is to plant seeds. You can get your seeds started in your house, which is what we will be doing, or you can plant it out in the ground if you are able to. I'm really making a whole thing of it this year. I'm really excited. I went out and bought a ton of seeds, and I'm really going to try to get our garden to grow. Another thing you can do is write affirmations, bury it into the ground. You can also fly kites. Really, this season is all about new, fertile, fresh energy. It's almost like your inner child coming out again. So playing with bubbles, just playing outside in the rain, any of that type of energy is really going to fit into the themes of Ostara. If it's still too cold where you're at, still adopt the idea of venturing out. So go to a mall, go to a museum or a planetarium. Another way you can plant plants is actually in eggs. Eggs are a symbol of Ostara because they represent fertility, new beginnings. So you can take your eggs from the last week, you know, save the shells and plant in those as a planter. And then another huge thing for Ostara is painting eggs. Now this is when we start to get into Easter and all of the connotations of Easter in the Christianity realm. What'd you find? What? Did the Easter bunny come? What'd you get? Find an egg? Oh! Egg! You found one. Let's see. I don't think there's anything in this one, but you found an egg. Good job. Oh. Quick fast forward in time. It is now Easter, and we're gonna do a little bit of celebrating with my family. Oh, yeah. Now, although a lot of pagans think that Easter was originally a pagan holiday, it's actually not very traceable. Even the goddess Easter, they aren't sure how much she was worshipped. And so one of the theories of why we celebrate with eggs and bunnies is that, so the goddess Easter, she came to bring spring back. She found a bird that was dying, and in order to save its life, she had to turn it into a hare or a rabbit. And this rabbit still had the ability to lay eggs. And as a thank you for still living and being alive, this rabbit gave away its eggs as thanks to the goddess Easter. What I find interesting is that the Easter is on the first Sunday after the first full moon after Equinox, which is kind of interesting for a Christian holiday. But all of these things have been celebrated for a while, and it really doesn't matter who claimed it first. I think it's more about the symbolism. Now, my family doesn't go to church or any of that, but we still like to use it as an excuse to get together, color eggs, eat, and just be around each other. Now, my husband has a stream today, so he can't celebrate a whole lot with us. He sort of did in a little bit of a way yesterday. But it's just gonna be me and my son. Let's get him up from his nap. Hi. Did you have a good nap? Hey, cutie. Who's that? Is that Bear? Oh. So we found an old butterfly kit that I have. So I've already got the stuff for it. We just need to order butterflies. And apparently you can do that off Amazon. So those are your favorite. I'm going to order some today. Yeah. Is it like a bee? Bzz. Pick up the dirt. Perfect. Good job, buddy. Good job. Ooh. You did it. All right, we got some seeds started. What a mess.
Door?
Door? Oh yeah, the door is open. Okay, look at all of our plants. New favorite candle. It smells so good. Now this Ostara book has like a ton of spells, a ton of like divination rituals. It's got all the correspondences, so if you're like, oh, I want to create something, or if you're Wiccan and you want to like figure out the correspondences for your altar, There's just like huge lists in this book of like the colors associated with it, the herbs, you know, plants, all that good stuff. And there's also a ton of tarot spreads in it. So I'm not going to go over every single one. Again, I highly recommend getting this book, even if you just rent it for like the season and then like try them out and see which one is your favorite. But I am specifically going to be doing an egg divination right now. So this is new to me. I'm super excited. So first what you're going to want is you're going to want a clear glass, and then you're going to want an egg. Fill up your glass with water. Then take a moment to protect yourself, invite in any guides that you want to talk to. As you're doing this, you are holding the egg and the glass of water, asking them to provide a message through the egg and the glass. And then what you're going to want to do is roll the egg all over your body. Get your face, get your backs of your legs, get your arms, even the soles of your feet. You want to make sure you're rolling that egg all over every single part of your body. And then you're going to immediately crack the egg into your water. And then you want to look at the water and look at the yolk of the egg for any sort of symbols or signs that you might see. Is it cloudy? Is it clear? Is there a little bit of blood in it? Can you see images in it? Basically just use your intuition and try to read what the egg says. That was a very interesting thing to do. I feel like I'll have to do it a couple times to figure out like what the difference is. But it did say to also pay attention to whether it sinks or floats. I do feel like these threads and the bubbles on top, like totally giving me a face vibe. You see that? 2 eyes and a nose? I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And then what you want to do when you're done is go take the shell, take the egg, and bury it somewhere in your garden. You don't just want to like throw it down the sink. You want to kind of ritualistically get rid of it. Obviously do what you are called to do. You gonna sit in my lap? Perfect. Can you say hello, everybody?
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Good job.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, like a phone. So all in all, Ostara was okay, and I think where it wasn't okay was just us not being present enough because of our whole cat situation and husband not being around. So next year we'll probably, hopefully not have the same things happen, but I think that's the great thing about Ostara is like you can celebrate it all spring. So even if you don't get it in on the day of, that's totally fine. I was so excited for the spring equinox just because it's a big change in the seasons and it symbolizes like a start of a new year. So I'm really excited to try it again next year. You see the BB? And I think what I'll do every year is maybe try a different like divination thing on the actual night, but then basically just kind of celebrate spring all throughout the season.
Hello.
Oh my goodness.